A crisp October morning settles over Washington. The hum of motorcades, the flash of press cameras, and the low murmur of reporters fill the air outside the White House. Inside, anticipation builds. The world is waiting for a signal, a sign that the long and bloody war in Gaza might finally be drawing to a close. Then President Donald Trump steps before the cameras and delivers a moment that instantly captures global attention. His voice steady, his tone unusually measured. He says, "We're getting the hostages back on Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, and it's going to be a joyous day. I'm going to try to get there. We're going to try to get there. And we're working on the timing, the exact timing. We're going to go to Egypt, where we'll have a signature, an additional signature. We've already had a signature representing me, but that would be an official signature." A moment of optimism and perhaps history. The President of the United States confirming that a final ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas is ready to be signed and that he may personally travel to Cairo for the ceremony. It's a scene reminiscent of Camp David and Oslo, yet unmistakably Trump. Spontaneous, self-assured and media savvy. The President's comments came just hours after negotiators from Israel, Hamas, Egypt and Qatar concluded the final pages of the ceasefire document, a deal months in the making, shaped through back-channel diplomacy, secret flights, and fragile trust. Inside the West Wing, aides describe a mood of relief and disbelief. After nearly 2 years of relentless war, this ceasefire represents not only political success, but human deliverance. Trump's plan, the now famous 20-point Gaza peace framework, links humanitarian relief to political normalization. It establishes a phased truce monitored by Egypt, Turkey and Qatar under United Nations verification. For the first time in decades, both Israel and Hamas have signed onto an American-brokered roadmap that promises an end to active hostilities, prisoner releases, and the gradual reopening of Gaza. If the trip happens, Trump's arrival in Cairo would mark the first visit by a sitting US president to Egypt since Barack Obama's 2009 New Beginning speech. But this would be something entirely different, not a gesture of outreach, but the final act of an unprecedented peace deal. Officials say the visit would signal American ownership of the process, a deliberate counterweight to Russian and Chinese diplomatic advances in the region. For Washington, Egypt represents more than geography. It represents symbolism. Cairo has mediated nearly every ceasefire in the Gaza conflict since 2014. This time, it will host the formal signing that could transform months of fragile negotiations into a durable peace. Behind the scenes, Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been coordinating directly with Egyptian and Qatari envoys to lock in the final details of prisoner exchanges and border monitoring before Trump's potential arrival. Trump's phrase, "a joyous day," carries profound meaning. Over 200 hostages, including Israelis and foreign nationals, are expected to be freed in the first phase of the deal. In exchange, Israel will release hundreds of Palestinian detainees, many of them women and minors. The International Committee of the Red Cross has already begun verifying names for transfer, but as hope rises abroad, tension remains at home. Washington is still trapped in a government shutdown. Nearly 800,000 federal employees are unpaid, yet the White House appears determined to project movement and leadership on the global stage. For many Americans, the contrast is striking, a government paralyzed domestically, yet producing a diplomatic breakthrough overseas. Those close to the president say the idea of personally signing the document, even after an envoy's authorization, was deliberate. It's about the optics, one senior aide told reporters. He wants to be seen closing the deal himself, an image of an American president signing peace, not war. That image could carry lasting weight. With the Nobel Peace Prize announcement just days away, speculation has already intensified that Trump's ceasefire diplomacy might earn him recognition in Oslo. Whether or not that happens, the symbolism of a US president standing in Cairo to formally end the Gaza war would be unmistakable. In the Middle East, preparations are already underway. Egypt has confirmed the likely venue, the historic Heliopolis Palace in Cairo, while Qatar has called the development a defining step toward regional stability. Israeli officials remain cautiously supportive, emphasizing that the agreement's success will depend on Hamas releasing hostages in full and on schedule. Trump's choice of words, but we're going to try to get there, reveals both eagerness and uncertainty. It is a hallmark of his style, using personal diplomacy as performance. If he does make the trip, it will be both a diplomatic victory lap and a campaign statement, a moment crafted for history and television alike. The peace deal itself extends beyond a simple ceasefire. It includes a demilitarized humanitarian corridor across southern Gaza, a joint reconstruction fund supported by the United States, Egypt, and Gulf donors, and the deployment of international observers to monitor compliance. Every clause has been negotiated word by word to prevent collapse in the fragile days that will follow. Reactions from global capitals have poured in. The European Union praised Washington's leadership and pledged reconstruction aid. Russia, which recently endorsed Trump's peace initiative during the Dushanbe summit, described it as a realistic step toward de-escalation. Even Iran, through diplomatic intermediaries, has signalled support for what it calls a stabilising truce. In a fractured world, this rare alignment is notable. Meanwhile, footage from the DC press pool shows a visibly relaxed Trump, gesturing, smiling, confident. Reporters pepper him with questions. When will you leave? Will Netanyahu join you? The president smiles, nods, and leaves the podium without answering, his exit almost theatrical, as though the moment itself was designed to hang in the air. If this journey to Egypt happens, it will be remembered not only for its diplomacy, but for what it represents, a turning point in one of the 21st century's most brutal wars. For millions in Gaza and Israel, these few sentences from the American president may become the prelude to peace, a line separating years of despair from a fragile new hope.
On Monday or Tuesday, and that'll be a day of joy. I'm going to try and make a trip over. We're going to try and get over there, and we're working on the timing, the exact timing. We're going to go to Egypt, where we'll have a signing, an additional signing. We've already had a signing